Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I suppose that depends on where you're dialing in from, wherever in the world. This is Aman Brar, really excited about today's session for the Summer to Evolve, presented by Jobvite. Thanks for joining. Again, it's an all-summer series, and we hope you continue to tune in. All right, so 12 weeks, 45 sessions, 5 types of content, all free. Sometimes you do have to occasionally deal with me, but we're just really excited about the really awesome programming we've put together. Coming up, just a quick preview for week 9. The theme is internal mobility. So again, the Summer to Evolve, we got a great recruiter skill sessions. These 2 talented series really focus on internal mobility and making most of the talent that's within your 4 walls. Demo days have been super popular to get some insights on product. And then our Recruiter Real Talk series, we'll be talking to Teresa from Lessonly about the secret sauce to filling open roles. So please be sure to tune in next week. And go to the summertoevolve.com to learn more, register, and make sure you're staying plugged in. All right, today, incredibly excited to spend some time with you all, and specifically with Jim O'Hare with our break room series. So again, the break room is just meant to be a time to take a laugh and have a deep breath and do something a little bit different on a Friday, given the intensity that we're all working through right now. So really excited for the levity that Jim's going to provide today as part of our break room series. A quick intro of myself. I'm Aman Brar. I'm the Jobvite CEO. Feel free to follow along as I wait for my mutant powers at Aman D. Brar on Twitter. And just a couple things before we get started today. Please submit your questions via the Q&A panel. So just go ahead and type them in and we'll make sure we get to them. Jim is certainly looking forward to engaging in your questions. The last 10 minutes are going to be focused on Q&A. And then certainly any insights you'd like to share on social media, feel free to tag away at hashtag JobviteS2E. So that's Jobvite S2E for Summer to Evolve. Excited to give you a quick preview for Jim O'Hare, a comedian, actor, Emmy Award winner, known from his Parks and Recreation glory as either Jerry, Larry, Gary. I think even a Barry was thrown in there from time to time. And you can follow along with Jim's tales at Jim O'Hare on Twitter. So be sure to give him a follow. A couple quick things about Jim to get things set, the mood lighting set, if you will. Summer favorites from Jim. There's favorite vacation Maui annually, which is pretty awesome. Hop, skip, and a jump away from his locale. And then Venice, Italy. And for those of us lucky enough to have been to Venice, it's quite a treat to explore. Favorite summer movie, Grease. I'll spare you all. That will not break out in the song, but maybe Jim will. Ice cream truck order, the creamsicle. No debate. That's a fantastic choice. A hamburger man he is, and pool or beach will go with both, but beach if you had to choose. So just some quick summer highlights for Jim before we get kicked off and excited to introduce him. Jim, there you are, appearing out of thin air.
Hey, Aman, how are you?
Good to see you. Good to chat with you again. And where are you joining us from? What part of the world?
You know what? I'm in Los Angeles, but I have to tell you, I don't keep up. I try not to keep up with the news because I try to be a Zen kind of person. But apparently, there's a pandemic.
Yeah. It's not just a board game.
Did it just happen? I hadn't heard a thing about it. Yeah, no, I'm in Los Angeles. We have been shut down. My last outing at a restaurant where I was fed and given food and drink was March 12th. So April, May, June, July, 5 months. Yeah. But I'm not complaining. I live in LA. The weather is gorgeous. Believe me, it could be 1,000 times worse. So I'm very grateful. But boy, it's been a lot. It's been a lot.
It is a lot. So speaking of, what's been in your COVID-19 survival kit as far as keeping your sanity through all this?
Wow, getting in the car every once in a while. I drive to PCH, which is Pacific Coast Highway. I drive through Malibu. I never get out of the car, but it's a mental visual. The ocean, of course, is that brings you just love and energy and everything. So I do that, and also another one. I'm very blessed. This is going to sound gross because I know, but I have a pool in my yard, and that is a game changer because it just, I feel like I'm somewhere else. You know, I'm not just in my house. And believe me, I have friends, and most of my family lives in the Midwest, and you know, they're all kind of together, and it's a lot of togetherness. We have togetherness here, but we also have space to kind of go like, okay, I need my time right now, so that I don't get a gun and take us all out. So yeah,
yeah, please don't
yeah.
do that.
So my pool is kind of my refuge. Yeah. So yeah, my car and my pool are that's kind of it. Though I did get a ticket, my first ticket. I'm almost 30, and I got my first ticket recently. Yeah, I was on the freeway and apparently going quite fast. Thankfully, the cop was so great. He kind of recognized me, I guess, and so he narrowed it down. I had four infractions, and so he only gave me a ticket for one because I said, I'm so sorry, but I just have been. He goes, I understand, but please slow down. But it was wild. I was on a freeway with almost no other cars because people aren't driving, and I went a little crazy.
That's wild. So you don't have to divulge too much, but you know, for the fellow car nuts on the call, you know, are you a two-door, four-door convertible, you know, truck? What's your du jour?
Well, I just bought a new car in January that's been sitting in the garage, Aman, for the,
Oh,
all these. So that's why when I got in it, I went crazy. But it's a Mercedes. No, it's not. It's a BMW. It's a BMW 440 Si convertible. I am a convertible guy. I live in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
You can use a convertible here a solid 10 to 11 months of the year. Like you just can. Even if it's super hot here, I have the top down with the air on, and if it's a little chilly, I have the top down with the heat on. So yeah, I am a convertible guy.
Well, here in Indy, we get about 10 or 11 convertible weeks a year, but we'll
I
take it.
know,
But,
I know,
it's
dude.
good.
I'm a Midwest guy, Chicago. I
Yeah.
was born and raised. I know all about, yeah, I know all about what you guys deal with. So no,
But it
when I
is
had the opportunity, I got it.
fascinating how driving or being in a pool can just bring that sense of normalcy to life right
Yes,
now. So really appreciate
yes.
what you
I get my
said.
music playing, and yeah, it's great.
All right, so we got a lot of talent professionals, a lot of talent and HR focused leaders on the call today. You know, I think it's always just kind of fascinating to dig in and learn about career journeys and so forth. But let's wind the clock way back. You know, tell us a little bit about what was Kid Jim like, right? What were your passions and interests kind of growing up? And, you know, do you find that there's a thread that you pulled on that kind of led you down your career pathway? What were your passions early on in life?
When I was young, it's crazy because of how it all just panned out. A TV kid, big time TV kid, big time TV sitcom kid. Just loved it. And my family, we were. I was born in the early '60s. There was, now I know parents have to be careful about how much tube time the kids get and everything. Nobody cared. You got as much as you could sneak in. You'd hear at 9 o'clock, go to bed, and then you'd go to bed. But until then, though, of course, in those days, you were also out playing until 7 o'clock because you just did, So, yeah, so I was very much a neighbor kid. I was one of the neighbor kids, one of the, go out and do kick the can, all that kind of stuff. But when I was in the house, it was really all about television, as well as the Hardy Boy books. The mysteries, I used to love those. I used to just love those. So the fact that I do television now, like when I was younger, like not a kid, but more like early teens, I used to have dreams. Like I would wake up and I had just had a dream that I was because I had heard about these table reads at Saturday Night Live, where the cast gets together and they read these scripts. And I would have dreams that I was at these table reads. And so I'll never forget the first time I was at a table read, in Los Angeles when things were starting to happen. It was just like such a flashback to I'm at a damn table read. This is crazy. And of course now I've been at, I don't know, probably 1,000 table reads, if not more, over the years. But yeah, so when I was a kid, I was also really lucky. I had one of those Midwest. We were very, very solid middle class. We didn't have tons of extra, but never wanted. There was never searching for food or, God forbid, any of that. So very blessed, and also really great parents, siblings who, of course, every day I wanted to kick in the butt, but that's just what siblings do. And now we're all very tight. So it was just, it was really good. I am really, really blessed, and I'm very fortunate. But yeah, TV, I was obsessed with as a kid, never thinking could be a career ever.
Yeah, it's pretty wild how, growing up, we had like three choices, right? And now, of course, even some of your breakout hits have had incredible lives with the multitude of choice that we have online with our TV selection. So it's certainly a different ball game now. Now, what other
Totally.
careers were you thinking about exploring, Jim? But, as you broke into that, what are some other things that you could have, in an alternate universe, ended up exploring career-wise?
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you a really embarrassing story. So let's get ready. When I graduated high school, I was a pretty decent school kid, like a student. I graduated top 10%, so I wasn't a genius, but I did okay. But I didn't know what I wanted to do after. But of course, I knew college was involved because that was what everybody was doing. But I was so pathetic in not knowing what I wanted to do that I declared, because you had to declare, I'm going to be an accountant. Now you say, why that? Because two of my buddies had said they were going to be accountants. Okay, that sounds fun. So I was basing my career on the fact that two of my, fellow idiot friends were going to be accountants. Now, there is nothing wrong with being an accountant, but believe me, there's also nothing in my world that should ever let me consider to be an accountant, because that's not my, there would be a lot of people in jail right now. And then I will say, I ended up going to Loyola University in Chicago, and it did exactly what college, I think, is supposed to do. I realized pretty quickly, oh, this is not a good avenue. This is not good. And I started exploring, college, take classes, try this, try that. And then I ended up working at the radio station at the school, which, by the way, it wasn't some like coveted position. If you could speak and were willing to give them 10 hours a week, you got to work at the radio station. I think it was heard within like a 3-block radius of, of the school, or maybe even 2 blocks. So it wasn't a big deal, but I really enjoyed, I felt something like, this is fun. I get to they let you do whatever you wanted. There were no rules other than language, you had to be polite and stuff. But so it was, that was cool. And so it led me down the path that I ended up taking.
It's amazing. So one of the big themes for us this week has been this whole notion of onboarding, right? When you're starting a new opportunity, I imagine that as you got into improv, we can talk about onboarding through different stages of your career. But when you were first getting started at improv, what's that like when you show up, and in some cases there's a team that's already been working together? How do you approach trying to find a way to successfully onboard? Did they offer much support, or was it kind of every man or woman is in it for themselves? How did you kind of think about onboarding as you joined a troupe?
I decided after I had been a DJ for a while, a couple of years in Indiana, actually, a place called Rensselaer, Indiana.
Sure.
And I used my sign on every day.
Wow.
And this is embarrassing because at the time I thought it was really cool. I'd be like, good morning, on the air with Jim O'Hare in Rensselaer.
There you go.
It really doesn't work when you really listen to it, but it felt good at the time. But anyway, so then I ended up training at Second City in Chicago, which was, still has the reputation of the place to train and learn improvisation. And so I went there. And so the first day is so nerve-wracking because in my day, and it's all different now, but in my day, you trained on the main stage that people like John Belushi and Bill Murray they had performed on, and this is where they learned. And it was incredibly nerve-wracking. Also, let's face it, I'm a larger person, always have been. So I certainly have my insecurities. And so now you're getting on a stage in front of people. And so when I look back, I can't believe I did it. I'll tell you that. There's a lesson about sometimes just go for it. Just go for it. The worst thing that's going to happen is it doesn't work. That's going to be the worst thing that happens. And so I'm really shocked I did it, but I'll never forget that first day. The teacher was a guy named Martin DeMott, who has passed away since, but just a wonderful guy. And he kind of did this big speech about what we're going to be in for, the history of this Second City and what has happened. And, because what I learned was day one, because he had us introduce each other, I just assumed it was going to be people like me, like, no, maybe I could be an actor, maybe. It wasn't. I mean, yes, it was that also, but it was lawyers, it was doctors, it was people who realized through improvisation they can learn how to communicate better. And I was blown away by that. Like, wow. So this wasn't just a bunch of, idiots like me. These are professional people who just want to learn how to do what they do better and how to be more communicative. So, but I'll never forget, and when I tell the story, it's never failed. I get chills. The first time, because then they start, okay, we're going to put you in groups. And we went up there on that stage. And the first time I went on that stage, I will never forget the moment. Couldn't tell you what I said, but I got that first laugh. And I had this feeling come through me, and I really felt, and I know this is dramatic or whatever, but something said to me, oh my God, you found it. You found what you want to do. Now, never thinking that's what I'd get to do or would ever pay my bills, ever thinking that, ever. But I just knew I have to do this. Whether it pays money will be another story. And I found, there's an old expression, I say it all the time. I say it so much I should get credit for writing it, but of course I didn't. If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And I realized then, wow, this is what I love. And so then it became like a passion. So then you start working with other people in the group, and you find out the ones who are in it for what I'm in it for, and others, like the lawyer guys, they were awesome, but they were intimidating because they're lawyers. They're already accomplished. I'm some schlub off the street trying to make it. So it was really interesting. And then you find your like-minded group, and that's what I did. I ended up with there was 6 of us total, a group of us, and we just kind of gelled. And that was 85. And now this is, 2020, and we all are still in contact. I've done a movie with 2 of them. It was just
you found your tribe.
I found my tribe. And finding your tribe, in my opinion, is a big deal. Parks and Recreation turned out to be a tribe. We are still joined at the hip. That's a gift. I think it's a real gift when you find that. And so in Chicago, we started, we all did the training together, and then we started our comedy group, and we called it White Noise. There were 6 of us, and we started doing shows and putting up little reviews. And I'll never forget one of the Bernie Solins, who was the big dude at Second City. He came to one of our shows, and we were all nervous, like, oh my God, Bernie Solins is here. And apparently the last thing that was what he said when he was walking out was, "Oi, those kids are loud." So we're like, oh, whatever. But anyway, because of that group, I sit here today because we did a show. One of the guys, Pat Cannon in the group, he wrote this show, and he said, I'd love you to play the lead. And that show became this cult show in Chicago. We said, let's give it a shot in LA, because we had all dreamed of LA, Los Angeles. And we brought it to LA, and it became a cult show here. And that got me agents and managers, and it got me my opportunities to have a career. So that was jumping in with those 6 people.
Sure. Yes. You found, it's often we talk about that, even companies today is, there's, how do you get those interests out there so people can find each other in the organization and kind of create the, that closeness in what may be a many. So you head out to LA, how would you kind of articulate your breakout moment and how it happened, right? You're kind of having fun all along the way, but can you share a little bit of context there?
Yeah. And I have to also, just so everyone knows, along the way, you're, searching cushions for change to get on the L to go to work. I mean, because so many people, I'll never forget when after Park started, one of the articles came out and said, "Where's Jim O'Hare been all these years?" But I've been here, dude. I've been here, scratching and crawling, and I've been here. But yeah, what happened was once this Stumpy's Gang was the name of the show. Once it got the attention it got, I was getting invites to meet with agents and a manager and stuff. Once that happened, that changes everything, because the tough part in LA is getting representation, because it's tough. They say, show me your reel. What have you done? Well, nothing, because I haven't had a chance. And how can I get a chance if you're not willing to give? Anyway, that's the tough part. So because of this show that we did, as my group did, I had them coming to me, which was lovely. So now I'm locked and loaded with representation. So then they start getting you out there, and then you start auditioning, and then I became known as the king of the guest stars because there's this site you can go to called IMDb, and you can put my name in, and you'll see the different shows I've been on. I ended up on most of them. I mean, the joke, I think it was either Kimmel or Seth Fallon. Anyway, one of them, when I was doing one of the late night shows, they said, okay, Jim, we just want to ask you, what show haven't you been on? So believe me, it was a gift because I was getting the career that no one knew who I was, but outside in the world, every once in a while someone go, you look so familiar. I feel like I've seen you somewhere. Because I was on a lot of different things. So my bills were paid, just it was lovely. But then a show like Parks and Recreation comes along. Now instead of being on, 5 or 6 shows once a year, like guest stars, now I'm in your house every Thursday. And that is the game changer. But when people are like, well, where have you been? Boy, overnight success. Oh, hell no. Hell no. It was not overnight. It was a lot of years of dues being paid. And believe me, I don't regret any of them. I learned a lot. I also learned, because of what I had been through, I learned how special Parks and Rec was as far as the cast and the setup and the producers and writers and everything. But yeah, getting my reps started that whole journey of auditioning, and auditioning is its own process. So you'll learn how to do that. And the advice I always, people, when I'm giving advice to people who want to be actors, whatever, the one thing I always say, always, and I live for it to this day, be prepared. Never, ever, ever walk into a room unprepared. Now, sometimes it goes off the rails, and I do terrible. But I guarantee you, I went in there prepared. Whatever I did in my own head, or one time I walk in and Ron Howard's sitting there, it like just threw me for a loop. So I got in my head and I messed it up. Thankfully, it all worked out in the long run. But I'm just saying, but I never walk into a room unprepared, and I think it's helped me because you never know what these people are going to be doing next week, next month, next year. These producers, these casting directors, you don't know what shows they're going to be working on or what films they're going to be working on. So I might not be right for this job, but I want them to get the impression, wow, Jim O'Here's a guy we got to keep track of.
Yeah, we had Damon Wayans Jr. and Chris Jones on about the special guest staff, talking a little bit about how to make representation a little bit easier for entertainers. So if you all are interested in that space, check it out. So Parks and Rec, I mean, right up there in the upper echelon of maybe kind of greatest all-star casts that ended up being assembled. What was it like to join that team and kind of get into the culture of that organization and that show? What were those early days like as you got situated and on board of the Parks and Rec?
Absolutely terrifying, because the word was out. Amy Poehler was getting a show. It was called the Untitled Amy Poehler Project at the time, NBC, and everybody wanted in, of course. Now, at that point, I'm just the king of the guest stars. I'm not. The odds of me getting a regular spot on the show are very low. I go in, my agents get me in, and I get to audition for Ron Swanson, played by Nick Offerman. And then when you look back, you think, who else could have played that role other than Nick Offerman? It makes no sense in any world. But Nick was their guy from the beginning. They kind of wrote it with him in mind. But the way the networks work are, no, show us everybody. We want our choices and all this kind of stuff. So and again, this was the perfect example. These are big time producers who had just done The Office. And I thought, I'm not going to get a regular role on this show, but I want to impress them. I want them to go, oh, we need him to be a guest star down the road, or we have another show or whatever. So I get there in the first day, everybody and their brothers auditioning. I mean names. Everybody wants in on this show, because also it was a straight to order. It was not a pilot. No, most shows do a pilot. They said do 6. It was Amy. They wanted Amy. They wanted to be in business with Amy, as everybody should. So they were smart to do that. So 2 weeks went by after the audition. Then I get another call. Jim, they want to see you again for a different role. Would you be interested in it? Well, of course. So I go in, and that turned out to be the role of Jerry. And as I found out later, Greg Daniels said to Mike Shore, these are the producers, the creators, he's funny, put him at a desk, it'll work out. And that's kind of how it happened. But I will also say this, I got a call from my agents, and this is and believe me, this is nothing against my agents. They did their job, but they called me and said, Jim, you booked this Amy Poehler show. Again, at the time, it didn't have a name. And I said, oh, that's great. What am I doing? I didn't know if I was guest star. Am I Ron Swanson? I didn't know anything. She said, no, it's the Jerry role. And she said, but we were thinking about it. And we don't know if you should do this. I said, oh, what's going on? Because, you are supposed to take their advice. They are kind of leading your career, your agents and your manager. And I said, what's going on? And she said, well, here's the thing. They've been very honest with us. They don't know what's going to happen with your character. This guy might just be here for a couple of episodes and it's not going to work. They have 6 series regulars they have got to, take care of. And they said at this point in your career, you don't want to be seen as an extra. And there's nothing wrong with being an extra. But at that point in my career, I haven't done that in many, many years.
Sure.
So she said, we don't want you, this could be a bad move. So we think you need to think about this. It took me 2 minutes to think about it because in my head, these are the same producers from The Office who created secondary characters like Kevin and Phyllis and Stanley and
Toby.
Angela and well, it goes on and on and on. So for me, I thought if this all blows up, let it blow up. This will be a show worth taking a chance on. And at the time, they were still paying me guest star money to come in. If they want me to sit at a desk, I'll do that. And so as it turns out, obviously it all worked out. I was in every single episode they did, as it turns out. And so, but again, I appreciate my agents I know where they were coming from because, hey, ultimately it worked out good for them too. They get a piece of, every dime I make, they get 10 cents of it, So it all worked out, but they were just covering me. But to me, it just seemed like a gamble I had to take. Even if it had come and gone and I did a few of them and I looked like I was just some extra in the background, it would have been worth it to see what could have happened. And ultimately, it worked out just fine.
Well, there's so many, when done right, so many textures and layers in show with these additional actors. And so you certainly were phenomenal in Parks and Rec. And certainly those of us that work in the HR space always had a soft spot for Toby in The Office as another, secondary character in the show. So you can see some parallels.
Believe me, we have had our conversation. The two of us have had many conversations at different events. Yes, we are. Because people also compare us to Meg from Family Guy, who is the ultimate smash down character in like the whole world. But yeah, and I love Toby.
Well, we'll transition to Q&A here shortly, but did have a question for you. We work in a world where performance management is kind of definitely a topic of conversation. As an actor, with popular media, et cetera, it's a pretty fickle universe. Do you ever come to terms with that feeling of interviewing for your job every single day when you're on set? Is that the kind of environment that it's like, and how do you kind of work through that kind of daily performance management, if you will?
Wow, that's a great question. What people don't get is even once you're on a show, there's no guarantees. We sign these contracts and they're 6 years nowadays. It's mostly 6-year sitcom contracts. I can't leave under any circumstance for 6 years. They can dump me tomorrow. So you are always, in a way, always auditioning, because if things start going bad, you're a quick bye-bye, you're gone. And being an actor, the whole career is a job interview, because every audition is a job interview. Every new job is a first day, and there's nothing worse than a first day. I mean, on any job, I don't care if you're an accountant or a CEO. First days are scary, and just where's the coffee? Who's who am I going to like? Who's the pain in the butt? All that kind of stuff. Actors have first days all the time. And here's a perfect story that is horrifying to this day. I was doing an episode of a show called Norm Macdonald. I think it was called the Norm Macdonald Show. He had a show years ago. Laurie Metcalf was on it, and anyway, I forget. So I audition. I get the job. First day, I think there were 4 guest stars, me and a woman playing my wife, and then another 2 people who were a couple. So we rehearse all day. excuse me, life goes on. The next day we get there and you go to craft services and get your little bagel and your little thing because you're going to sit down and do another table read of the script because they always rewrite them every night on sitcoms. And there's a new guy there. I'm like, oh, okay. And then we say, oh, hi, who are you? And he explains it and go, oh, so they must have fired the other guy, which it just happens. 2 minutes later, here comes the other guy. And he's got his plate with his scrambled eggs and his bagel and whatever. And he sits down, morning, everybody. And he sets his bag down. And we're all, okay, we don't know what's happening. So then I'm thinking, well, maybe they've redone something and they've, just put him in another role because this guy is telling us he's this guy. All of a sudden, one of the production assistants comes over. They whisper into his ear, and I hear him go, what? And he goes, are you sure? And they said, yeah. He picks up his stuff and he just leaves. He had been fired the day before and nobody told him. So
it's brutal.
Showed up. I mean, even now I'm getting that embarrassed feeling. It was
definitely not a best practice.
Yes, it was the worst. And so even I did an episode of Friends, their 10th season, their big season. And I remember talking to Courtney Cox because we were about to do our first run for producers. And that's when actors lose their job. Yeah. Because if someone doesn't like something, all of a sudden, now granted, you still get paid because once you book a job, they owe you the money. But for actors, especially someone like me, yes, I need the money like everybody needs money, but it's about the work and it's, I'm proud of what I do and I want to do a good job. So to be let go it would kill me. Anyway, so we're about to go and Courtney, who's like just the sweetest, she's rubbing my shoulders before our first scene. And she said, oh my God, you're so tense. I go, well, I could lose my job right now. And she turns me around and she goes, I have a little power around here. You won't be losing your job. Oh, I mean, man. She was just so sweet and wonderful. And but most shows, actors don't have that kind of power. She did 10 years. And it turned out they wouldn't have anyway. It all went great and it was lovely. And but yeah, every day is a first day on a new job. So I've had hundreds of first days. And every day is certainly an interview. Every day.
Yeah, it's amazing. And just a reminder, folks, please go ahead and send your questions in via chat so we can engage with Jim a little bit further. I will say, Jim, I was relieved, and I'm sure you might have had an interesting perspective on this when Jerry's retirement got written into the show. I thought, man, what is happening? So I'm glad that wasn't the end of that infamous character. So
okay, and just so you know, here's how great Parks was. And when I say great, I mean cruel. But it's my humor. It's how we all did. They made me believe I was out. Like they never normally if you're going to be out, you'll get a heads up. Like, hey, I get this script and it's called Jerry's Retirement. Anyway, so it was all just, and of course it wasn't the case. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff we did to each other there because it was for an actor to get a 7-year run on a show like Parks. I always call it was a gift. It's still a gift. I used to buy every week. I used to buy one scratcher, because you just buy it for $1. You
keep it real. That's right.
I have never bought one since I landed Parks and Recreation because in my mind that was my lottery ticket. It was unexpected and it was a gift, just a gift. So but yeah. Jerry's and then the Jerry heart attack. I'm thinking, is he coming back from this? Because I don't trust these people. Yeah.
Well, they were taking method acting to a new level, right?
Yes. Yeah, no, but it was amazing.
Well, appreciate that. I'm glad that the retirement episode wasn't your last. And we're going to transition to something that's super near and dear to your heart, James. Would love for you to tell our audience a little bit more about the Tuberous Sclerosis Alliance, and then we'll kind of transition into Q&A.
Yeah, thanks, Aman. The Tuberous Sclerosis Alliance, it's an organization. There is a disease called the tuberous sclerosis complex. Children are born with these tumors. Now, they're mostly benign tumors, but they're on their major organs. And so it can cause mental, like if you have tumors on your brain, some are blind, and most have seizures, multiple seizures, sometimes hundreds of seizures a day. So I've been aligned with this organization for many years, and we do this thing called Comedy for a Cure. We do it every April. Well, this year all got blown up, like everyone's plans got blown up. And it's an amazing event. We have these comedians come in, and then it's food and drink and you know, a little red carpet thing and live auctions, silent auctions, the whole thing. Well, this year, you know, we figured out a way to do it differently. So we're doing a 2-part virtual Comedy for a Cure. So we did the first one 2 weeks ago, and we're going to do another one in October. And the one in October is going to be, the lead is going to be Jay Moore. A lot of people know Jay. He's been around forever, really funny guy.
Sure.
And you can still go on, and now they've figured out how to we're even going to have a live auction, which I don't know how they're going to do it because I'm a computer idiot. And so I don't know how we're speaking, Aman. I don't even get this. I don't understand.
It's magic.
So yeah, this is all science to me, or mystery. So, but they are going to do it. So it will be a live auction. You pay $25. You can, for an hour and a half to 2 hours, I believe it is. You get some really good comedians, and you get to help raise funds for this really amazing organization and these families who every day deal with a nightmare. It's a nightmare. A lot of kids end up with the brain surgeries and then these tumors around their kidneys and their livers and their hearts. Anyway, so yes, tuberous sclerosis, comedyforacure.org. Comedyforacure.org is the website. You can go and read all about it.
All right, so comedyforacure.org. And what people don't know, Jim, is I'm sitting on the couch right next to you, but that's how the magic happens in Hollywood. And one more.
Yeah, you've been a little handsy, Aman. I haven't been thrilled about that. Yeah.
Okay. I keep HR close, Jim, so I know that's not true. So, all right, very good. So we got one more little TSA plug here for your special T-shirt. So
yes, there's a T-shirt called "Damn It, Jerry," because in Parks and Recreation, anyone who's a fan knows that the term "Damn It, Jerry" has been used 1,000 times in regards to my goof ups and my flubs and whatever, or things I really didn't do wrong that they blame me for. So we've created a shirt. It says "Damn It" with my picture underneath it, meaning "Damn It, Jerry." Now that is sold at my on my website, I guess that's called, at Jim O'Heir, JIMOHEIR.com. And all proceeds from these T-shirts go to the Tuberous Sclerosis Alliance.
Perfect, man. So kind of you, and a great cause. And
a great cause.
Thanks so much, Jim, for your time, and thanks for letting us ask you a few more questions from the audience here.
Awesome,
today.
my pleasure. Anytime. This was fun.
All right, so we got first question. We got a lot of hellos and just shout outs, man. So you're well loved, Jim. People are kind of expressing their best. So here's one. We'll see. Test your memory banks here and your real estate portfolio. Do you still have a condo in Muncie, Indiana? Is that a vacation home of yours?
That is a show reference. The Gergiches had a timeshare in Muncie, and according to Jerry, it's the greatest place in the whole world.
That's right.
In my opinion, they absolutely still have the timeshare in Muncie. I guarantee it.
That's great. Well, I did have a friend that just bought a lake house near Rensselaer, so we can trade stories. All right, we got a true fan here in our midst. Another question: is Jim going to be at GalaxyCon in Minneapolis this year? I would love to see him again. So it looks like it's someone that's had the great opportunity of running into you before. So how's GalaxyCon looking this year? Probably pretty tough, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think those, until further notice, I think those are all gone. Those are so much fun. They're incredibly exhausting. I've done 2 or 3 of them, and the fans are so amazing. But by the end of the day, you're like, wow, because it's a lot of love thrown at you. And people are like, what's it like? I said, you're being told people love you all day long. It's lovely. I mean, it's really not a bad thing. But by the end of the day, you're wiped out. But unfortunately, everything that was on my calendar is off my calendar because it's all been canceled. Now, we will get through this. It will absolutely all come back. But like within the next 6 months, that I don't know. I would think by next summer, but no one's looking at me for the answers, and I feel bad. I had given away my beaker and my Bunsen burner. I could have cured this damn thing had I just kept those 2 things, but I didn't. And so, instead I ate and watched Netflix.
There you go. By the way, a lot of true fans. We've actually got folks that are commenting that they already have your Damn It T-shirt. So
nice. Thank you.
Very,
Thank
very
you.
cool. So, Jim, I got to ask you, you were one of the first celebrities to record an in-character PSA regarding staying at home when the pandemic first hit. Can you give us a little bit of context there and how that came about?
I tell you, there was no context other than I was heading outside and I'd just been reading all this stuff. And when people say it, you know, at this time it's when it started, people saying it wasn't real and all this kind of stuff. And I'm hearing one friend got sick and my heart was just like kind of getting sad. And I thought, you know, there are people, our show has become, which, you know, no thanks to me, just the writers and producers and those other actors created this show that has become very iconic, kind of, which is amazing. I can even use that term that I'm on a show that's a bit iconic, but I thought maybe they'll listen to Jerry. And so I just turned the camera on and I rambled. I put it out there thinking at least my immediate family and friends will see this because we got to take this seriously. And by the next day it had 1 million views. And then by the next, anyway, so it went kind of crazy. If it kept people at home and safe, I'm on board. I'll do it. Happy to do one again tomorrow. You know, we have to get through this, and we have to get through it with not a lot of people passing away. Would be a treat. You know, so
No doubt, no doubt. My wife and I have had certainly enjoyed some sitcoms just to get through these darker days. Where can folks check out Parks and Rec these days? Is it Peacock? Is it Netflix? Where would you point people to check out some episodes?
yeah, I believe we're still on Netflix because the contract
Yep.
was for a certain amount of time. So Netflix,
Yeah.
Peacock is the new streaming
Yep.
service, NBC,
Yep.
and we're on there with all their shows. But we're also on 2 or 3 different stations during the day. Comedy Central, FXX, and I believe something called Esquire. I don't really know exactly, but for sure Comedy Central, FXX, and yeah, I think that, yeah. And then of course, like I said, Netflix and you know, the Peacock as of now.
Perfect. Well, Jim, thanks so much. We're actually going to start a rumor about you and Chris Pratt doing a sci-fi action movie together, and we'll
Go
see if
for it.
that comes true. Maybe kind of a Tango and Cash kind of situation. So,
Let me
anyway,
just quickly, before you get rid of me, let me tell you something because you mentioned his name. You will not find a kinder, sweeter, more generous man than Chris Pratt because they don't exist. I got a phone call one day. This is like, I don't know, 4 months ago, whenever it was. Actually, it was a text. And he goes, how's everything? I go, good. Why? What's up? He goes, you're okay? Yeah. What's going on? And I could tell he was worried about something.
wow.
And he said, well, I had a dream. I go, uh-oh. Did I die in that dream? He goes, I just want to make sure you're okay. I go, everything's fine. But Chris Pratt is, I don't know. I always joke, I go, he's got a heart that is so just the biggest heart you could ever imagine. And his doctors are looking into it. Good night, everybody.
Yeah, very good, Jim. Well, thanks for warming our hearts. We appreciate you. Stay safe and keep
Thank
doing
you.
the good
Everybody
work.
wear
Appreciate
your
it.
masks. Stay safe. Much love to everybody.
All right. Cheers, Jim. Bye now.
Bye.
Take care. All right. Thanks, folks. The incredible Jim O'Hare. Super excited to have our opportunity to engage with him. He's just been a total delight as we prepared for today's the Summer to Evolve break room. Coming up on August 21st at 2 p.m. Eastern, another great opportunity to interact with someone special to me, Beth St. Clair. She is trained in improv. She helps companies understand how to leverage some of the skills you utilize in improv and improvisational training to have breakthrough moments at work. It's surely going to be a great session that is going to be awesome. So please check it out on August 21st for our next break room at 2 p.m. So go to the Summer to Evolve and get registered. I think you'll love your opportunity to engage with Beth. Again, just a reminder for week 9, the Summer to Evolve presented by Jobvite. Some great sessions next week, really focus on internal mobility. Great to hear some of Jim's onboarding stories today with the talented folks he's been with. And we can talk next week more about how to make the most of the talent in your company today. So it will be some secret sauce explored. So please join, get registered, and check out the Summer to Evolve website to learn more. One last thing near and dear to my heart is just please do explore your own journey with diversity and inclusion at your company. We certainly putting our best foot forward on how to help organizations take part in this journey. So please check out our diversity inclusion pack when you have a moment, and continue to explore everything you can do to bring equity to your hiring practices. All right. Well, I think that concludes today's break room and summer evolve session. Thanks so much for being with us. It was great to be with you, and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.